Developing right now, new details in a Hamilton High School hazing case.
1 year after 5 alleged victims filed a lawsuit against school administrators and the alleged abusers, defense lawyers say they have videos that show the victims contradicting their own claims.
Team 12's Antonia Mejia following up on this case. What do you know, Antonia?
Mike and Tram, the videos haven't been made public, so it's unknown what they show, when or where they were recorded. But the federal judge taking on this case granted a motion by the defense lawyers to include the new footage as evidence in the lawsuit against the Chandler School District. A new twist in a high school football hazing case involving 5 alleged victims. According to this new federal court motion, district defendants are providing videos of the plaintiffs, who are the alleged sexual assault victims, denying allegations of their complaints. We called the school district's lawyers about this, but no call back yet. In the civil lawsuit filed May of last year, the students claimed the coaches and school staff conspired not to report the abuse to police and failed to prevent more attacks or punish the perpetrators. But federal judge Susan Bolton dismissed some claims against the district, saying staff did not have a constitutional duty to protect the students from hazing done in private by their teammates. The then school principal, Ken James, does admit to the victim's lawyer in depositions filed in federal court that the school is responsible for the safety of the students until they leave campus and go home. According to the court documents, he's now getting paid more in his new position as the executive director of educational programs for the same school district.
We just need the support. When it's all said and done, all of your questions will be answered. But we can't answer any of those because we know nothing yet.
We also called the victim's lawyers, and he says he's not commenting at this moment, but he does anticipate this case going to trial next year. In the Alert Center, Antonia Mejia, 12 News.
All right, Antonia, thanks so much for bringing us up to speed on that.